Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Ananda Rose, and thank you for joining me today. And today I am joined by the wonderful Matt Schmidt, quantum healer. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me on.
I'm so glad. You've got such a beautiful energy just looking at you. And I'm looking at your canvases on the wall, and I have watched one of your videos on YouTube because I know I've seen it before, and for the life of me, I can't remember which one that was, but I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. So, Matt, you are a quantum healer. But before we go to that, tell us a little bit more about yourself. We know that you're a quantum healer. If we look on your website, we can see that. Just tell us a little bit about Matt, who Matt is.
I'm still trying to figure that out. When I figure it out, I'll let you know. But I think we all are.
Yes.
Um, I started out in a path that was completely opposite from this. If you would have told me I was going to be doing this a couple years ago, I would have swore you were nuts. I could not see myself doing anything like this. I was like hardcore scientist into very, very mental way of thinking, and um, I don't know. I've it's kind of always like that. Always looking for answers, always searching, and like it drove me down this path of like scientific understanding and research, and even with everything that I knew, like scientifically, medically, I was having like all my own issues. So I went into like started out in biology, and then went into like um, research into drug development and like natural product chemistry. That's kind of what I did my doctoral work in, looking for drugs from natural sources to treat like central nervous system disorders, cancer, things like that. So it's kind of interesting how like the two kind of merge up. You know, they're drastically different, but I also see myself as the bridge from that other world now. So all very purposeful in my path, but I got to a point where I was just struggling. I was having all my own issues. I was on like 14 medications for things. I was having grand mal seizures every week, and really just feeling like stuck in life. And that's when I discovered the work of Dolores Cannon, kind of a pioneer in the work that I'm doing now. And she was looking at like past lives, and I don't know, just the stuff she was talking about. I'm like, what don't I know? Like the way she talked about it was just so matter of fact, and I'm like, by that time I was in school for 24 years, so I'm like pretty confident in like what I understood the world to be, and it kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, what am I not understanding? What am I missing with some of this stuff? So, the one that stood out, she'd be working with someone in England talking about like ancient Egyptian history. She'd take people in a state of trance and they'd go to other lifetimes. And that wasn't that interesting for me, but what was even more interesting is she'd come to the United States and the person would pick up where the other person left off. I'm like, what? I'm like, how does that work? How is that even a thing? I understood like quantum entanglement from like the scientific side of things, but like here's this old like redneck lady from Arkansas talking about like talking about these like concepts I just couldn't grasp. And so that really just led me down this road of like questioning, and it pushed me to find someone that had trained with her, that worked with her. Couldn't even tell you why I did it, but there was just a strong pull. I knew I had to go find someone like this, and I had my own experience. In that session, I didn't think it would work for anything physical, by the way, but I immediately stopped having seizures that day. Haven't had any in 6 years now. In 2 months, I was off all 14 medications. I'd been on some for 25 years. Like, I didn't even know that was an option. Like, I just kind of gave up. I'm like, well, this is just how I am. And and then that's also where I found out I was supposed to be doing this work. And I'm like, that's not right. There's no way that's right. I remember getting an attitude with the lady because she's like, just say the first thing that comes to mind. I'm like, fine, I'm supposed to be doing what you're doing, but that's not right. And then then I
Hey.
had all my own profound healing, and I knew without a doubt that this is like what the next step was, because I've been looking for answers my whole life, and it's like all of a sudden everything made so much sense. I had this like clarity. I had this inner peace that I just hadn't experienced ever, I don't think. And it was pretty magical. So being able to give that gift to other people is what I get to do now, and it's the best job in the world in my opinion.
Wow. I've got to say, that was one of the things that fascinated me about you because you said you are a scientist. And, science and the esoteric, it's never been a popular thing to combine, or one would imagine it's meant to be part of it. but there's always been that separation. And I like that you're saying you see yourself as the bridge. And that's really, really good. And I mean, look, science. Well, I was married to someone who called himself a scientist. And I can tell you, he took parts of Christianity and the science, but he would not, this stuff that we are into, quantum healing, Reiki, all of that there, he would have said, oh, no, not allowed here, kind of thing. So, that you've done that, it shows that, it's being the way shower for something new. It shows that, and many of us are way showers, and we don't realize that about ourselves, and we sort of resist that for a while, and then we finally have to give in, because the guides will say, well, there's nowhere else to go, but this is it. You look at it, look, this is it, what you've got to do, and you have to just go with the flow. So I'm really glad that you heard the call, and you, well, maybe not initially gave into it freely, but now you look at it and you're like, that makes so much sense. And it makes a lot of sense. You've got some insights not many people would have, because you've got the science side of things. And I'm so glad to hear you're off all the medication and you stopped having seizures, which is awesome. So, Matt, quantum healing. Now, I know many people who talk about they do quantum healing. What is your quantum healing like? I ask people this because it's nice to have an idea. We're going to come back to, we were talking before we went to recording about your teaching others. We're going to come back to the teaching. But tell me what your quantum healing is like.
So I kind of thought the quantum aspect was just like a marketing thing, and I was like, well, that has nothing to do with anything like quantum, because I've had like quantum physics, quantum mechanics in school, and I was just like, okay, that's just a way to market this. But what I love about this work is it doesn't detract from anything I know scientifically or medically. It just adds a different lens. So that's like the beauty of this work, and I see the quantum part of it as basically you're tapping into this field of possibilities. So basically, all the possibilities exist right now, and we have the freedom to move within that field of possibilities to experience whatever reality we want. And my work usually comes into, well, why are you stuck on this reality? What's preventing you from shifting into what you want to experience? So that's usually like the subconscious programming, the limiting beliefs, the emotional baggage we're carrying, I don't know, the different expectations or responsibilities that we have, or like the fears even that are keeping us stuck. So all these things that we're addressing in this. And I like to use an example here. So you're going to hear some stuff that probably sounds unbelievable, but these are things that have happened. I had a person who had metal pins and screws put in her shoulder where she had injured it like 20 years before. And she wanted to focus on that during one of the groups that we did. And she ended up pulling her bicep like a week after the class, went and had her arm x-rayed, all the metal pins and screws are gone, and the bone is healed. Like, what? So in my mind, it's medical grade titanium. It doesn't just disappear. But
Yeah.
I asked about this and I'm like, how is this even possible? And I was given an analogy. They said like all the radio stations are playing right now. Okay, you can't perceive of them until you're dialed into a certain station. So what she did, she basically, in simplest terms, changed the channel to a different version of her that apparently was never injured in the first place. And I'm like, wow, so that's the quantum part of it. So this is physically impossible, but on a quantum level, all these things are possible. And so my work usually comes into figuring out, well, what's keeping you stuck on this channel, and shifting it off of that, so, or being able to like move. So that's the quantum part of the healing.
Wow. That is incredible. And for me, when you were saying this about, that she had this titanium metal clips, and as you were saying it, in my head, I heard, well, all that happened was she went into reality, but the logical, the human side of me that will say, well, how could that be humanly? How would that happen? Like, how could I justify it as a human? And I would think, oh, maybe part of the healing actually involved melting out the titanium or the metal and transmuting it, and it's going through the blood, going out of the waste system of the body. I mean, that's my mind and that's what I'm thinking. But I mean, gosh, she just shifted into another reality where she didn't have the injury.
And that is the physical level. I'm like, okay, so this is medical grade titanium. It doesn't just dissolve, and even if
Yeah.
it did, How does the bone repair itself?
Yeah.
All these questions are things that are just like not really possible by classical physics. So when you tap into the quantum part of it, it's like, okay, all these things are possible. And I had no idea how slippery reality is until I started doing this work.
Okay.
But
Yeah, yeah, I'm realizing that too. And at the moment, just not to digress, I'm reading The Reality Revolution by Brian Scott because I have some things I'm wanting to shift in my life. And I'm I need to explain the quantum. And like I probably have to read that chapter two more times to like really get it. It's like, oh my gosh. And then he also says in it, I don't understand some of the things I'm saying to you. But it's happening. And maybe it's not about understanding the detail and the dynamics and just switching into that radio frequency that aligns to what it is that your reality is that you want to create. And saying, well, that's it, I'm open and that's what I'm doing. And it happens. That's it. That's all it is, isn't it?
I think
Uh,
the hardest part for me was letting go of, hey, maybe you don't know everything, Matt. And that's when the doors started to open. And I'm like, okay, that's because then I opened myself up to the possibilities rather than, oh, this is how it is and having this limited view. And like as a scientist, I'm like, when did we stop questioning things? Like, how did I lose that? Because I could make you cry telling you like how things worked and how things were supposed, how things are actually work. And I don't know once I let go of that, what was ingrained in me, that's when the magic started to happen.
Wow, wow. So how do we do this healing? Like, does somebody, you do it online or just do you have rooms that people book appointments with you and then they come and lie on your massage like massage table sort of situation and then you do is that how you do the healing?
Yeah,
And it's not to give away your methods. It's just like I'm saying, okay, yeah, all right. So, how do you do that?
so usually I have people prepare a list of stuff that they want to address before they come see me. That gets the ball rolling. Their intention of wanting to heal something can be all that it takes sometimes. All people that will call me to make an appointment and their symptoms go away when they hang up the phone. We didn't even do
Wow.
anything. But it's already known what we're going to cover, so they get they're done with that lesson or what they need to learn from something, it can heal. Then the day of the session, I usually meet with the person. So I do this either online. I also work in person. I'm in Deep here, Wisconsin, in the United States, so kind of in the Green Bay area, and it works the same whether it's in person or not because I'm guiding each person in their own healing journey. I'm not doing it for them. So it's a little bit different than other types of healing where you're going to see like a healer for like Reiki. They're the ones moving the energy. They're the ones that are
Right.
doing
Yeah.
stuff. In this, I'm just asking questions. I'm kind of directing stuff, guiding stuff, but really it's not up to me. Like I would love to take credit for some of these things, but really at the end of the day, each person is doing it. And I think that's the beautiful part of this is it's so empowering because people realize how much of their life they have control over. They start taking their power back. I don't want people to need me. Like that's the whole point of doing this. And then in the guided portion, they connect to what I call their higher self, where they're getting that information, and then they leave here with that. They're trusting that, they're having the confidence in that, so they're stop looking outside themselves for all these answers, and they start looking within.
Wow. Wow. That's just awesome. I like the empowering thing. And I mean, we're not trying to be like traditional, a traditional process where people have to keep coming back because that's not empowering. That's dependence. And I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, for me, the journey is about search for the hero within yourself. I heard somebody say that, and that's the song, and that you are the creator of your life. And if I get really annoyed when people say to me, you're the creator of your reality. And it's true. It's true. But sometimes when you're struggling to shift something, it can be very frustrating when you hear that. And you know that, and you know that you're the one not shifting your reality. And the reason why it's where it's at is because you're keeping yourself there. It's tough to take the responsibility for that, but we do have to realize that. But I mean, look at this. This is like incredible. If you say that, it's always about intention. It's always about the person's intention and aligning to that, and then they can shift it. But you're a facilitator of it. For me, I feel like I know you're saying, oh, like you empowering people, yes, but it's the kind of understanding you have that, and the fact that you use that understanding to facilitate the quantum healing is unique. It is different. It is not your usual, right? And because we know this, we have different modalities of healing, like Reiki is one of them, and massage is one, etc., etc. But it's like, okay, so what are you going to do if you do that? You might need another session of Reiki. You're saying, hey, you may not need that. And also we may not need Reiki too, but the point is your intention always is that they get what they need and that they don't have to keep coming back. And so I really love that. So
What I
you
what I
reach more
like
people
different.
that way, right? You reach more
Well,
people because you have time to give new people that experience.
mhm.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just gonna say just a little like thing about the Reiki. So I do Reiki too. Like I've learned Reiki. What I see is like you can move the energy out, but if the mind just recreates it, the person ends up with the same thing. You talk to a massage therapist, they see the same people for the same stuff because you didn't get to the why. So what I love about this work is you get to the right to the root of where stuff is kind of anchored in,
Yeah.
and then you can like it's like healing from the inside out. You're actually getting to like that the root cause of where things are coming from. So science, medicine, they see the mechanics. I used to look at the body like a car. I'm like, oh, what's broke? What do we need to fix? And like you're not a car. You're more complex than that. So when you look past that layer, you can see what's actually causing like the root cause of their issue, and then everything starts to change from there. So
So, Matt, the next thing I would like to talk about is, like, I notice people come to you for various reasons, um reasons, yeah. But in there was very important, I noted, was that you do work with people who are deemed to be ADHD, uh, and so I'm just going to use the one word, neurodivergent, people who are neurodivergent, right? So how does that work? Because, I just feel like, so I've heard two things this week. One of it was your stuff that you do quantum healing with anyone who's neurodivergent. Those are my words. I know you didn't say that, but that was my
oh, yeah.
deduction and from reading about you. And I also heard this week that, for example, vitamin D is very important for people who are autistic. So if there's autism involved in a person, so vitamin D, the right levels are very important for them to be taking. So these are the two things I've heard about neurodivergent. Now, neurodivergent people is it's a totally different aspect now from what I've been thinking about people who are neurodiverse or neurodivergent. Because now we're talking about quantum healing. And I mean, quantum healing, yeah, it is about the mind. It's about the mindset and how you're going to shift the mindset. So explain that part, the neurodivergent part, please.
So what I find with all these cases is you're not broken. Nothing needs to be fixed. It's teaching you how to be okay in your world and why you came in like that. What like I used to fight it. I'm like, oh, I'm not like this person. I try to fit myself in this box that I was never gonna fit into. And I wouldn't trade any of my stuff. I love how my brain works now, even though it used to be one of the biggest struggles. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. So a lot of the work that I'm doing, it's not healing in terms of like, oh, we need to fix something here. It's teaching you how to use that gift. It's what makes you special, and that's the beauty of this work is I watch people take the thing that they're struggling with the most and it turns into their biggest asset, their biggest gift, because they don't work like other people and there's a reason for that. And when you can figure that out, oh my gosh, I watch people just such a catalyst into who they came here to be.
Wow, I love that because this is what we have been like. Kirsty Marie and I have been doing workshops with anybody who is neurodivergent. And this is what we were pointing out. We've been doing it not from the science perspective. She's a kinesiologist, so she's doing it from, she uses all of those modalities for anyone who's neurodivergent. And I've been doing it from the point of awakening people to who they are, because I use my light language. And because anyone who's considered neurodivergent on the planet has come here to be the way showers for some very interesting things. This is my belief. Own it, embrace it, and live it, be you, this medication stuff out of the door, because that's not going to help you. Just, I mean, vitamin D, yeah, everybody needs vitamin D because of the physical body to whatever level. I don't see a problem with that. But what I think is to take medication to stop being yourself and to be programmed is reverse to what anyone who's deemed to be neurodivergent has come to do here on the planet. Because I believe they are the sleeping dragons of the planet. I call them the sleeping dragons. And we said Awaken Sleeping Dragons is one of the series we ran because they are here. They're the universe's secret to awakening this planet and the collective. That is my belief. And that's not, I mean, for us to be in this awakening process, you have to be to some degree neurologically different. Because if we were following the third dimension and trying to do all that, we would not be doing what we're doing now. So, I just feel to a degree, every one of us is neurologically different. Some of us are more obvious, have more intense, as I don't want to say symptoms because it's not sickness, more obvious behaviors that imply that. But I love it that you embrace who you are, because that is very, very important. And I think there's definitely something to this. Oh, I know there's something to it because look at what you're doing.
If
So,
you're hearing this and you're feeling like you're one of those people, I'll save you a lot of time. You didn't come here to fit in. You came here to stand out. You came here to make a difference. And like I see it time and time again. And there's a reason you chose to come in the way that you did. Like things need to be shaken up. And you're not going to get there by doing the same stuff everyone else is doing. So
yeah.
the sooner you can realize that, the sooner you're going to be set free.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been challenging for anybody who is neurodivergent, obviously, because, I'm part of X generation people. And then, the baby boomers, so many of the baby boomers and X generation people were undiagnosed and were told to be, you're weird, you're naughty, you ask questions, you do things, it is honestly, for me, I believe the millennials have really brought up, not to be naming generations, but the group of people that come into the category or are called millennials, they have really said, right, look at this. This is here. It's happening. Let's embrace it. And because they are the ones who have shown us how to bring it out, accept it, live with it. Because for me, anyone who is neurodivergent is here to deprogram the third dimensional stuff, the deprogram everyone in the matrix. That's what they have come to do. That's my belief. And so, um, I I just think what you're doing is amazing, and I'm so glad that you look at that. You're one of the way shows for this thing, because so many people are still unaware. So many people in different parts of the world are still undiagnosed, even if they do have millennial parents, or even if they are millennials, um, because people find this hard to believe. But anyway, our world is not like that because we are conscious of our multidimensionalism and our being in a multidimensional space. So that's what makes it different for us. Well, I love it. I just love it. That I'm just thinking about the questions I've been asking, and I want to talk now about very importantly, you have been teaching others to do what you do. You've been
Yeah.
empowering people to be able to go out and do it themselves for others. Tell us about that.
I think kind of like you've alluded to, it's this time of all hands on deck. We need help, like kind of seeking out these people that are, like you said, the sleeping dragons that, they're ready to pop and they're ready to take their healing to the next level. So part of their healing is also sharing that with others. And yeah, I kind of took it upon myself to start helping some of these people. I actually have all the resources free on my website. So it's www.mattschmidtqh.com/practitioners. There's guided processes, different tools, tricks for people that do any of this work. If you work in healing, if you do meditation with people, if you do therapy with people, like things that will help you in your practice that I've learned over the years that I'm kind of happy to share because when we do this, everyone wins. We were talking about this before. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, thank you for saying that because that's it. That's it. It's not just about it's mine and I'm going to do it and I want to control it. It's saying I mean, that's the heart that we operate from now, right? Because it's okay to share. It's okay to share what we know, because rather share and empower than help people, than not do that, and then people are struggling and taking longer to get there, because that's not the point of it, right? That's not the point of what we're doing at the moment. I love that. So I will also put your web address in the description box so people can access it. I'm already, as I'm speaking to you, I know a few people that could really do with a session with you. And so I'm just going to, and I just had somebody ask me yesterday, and it's that mind-boggling stuff, struggling to live every day because the mind is where it's at, and trying to fit it into the box. That's a struggle. Many people are still going through that because they're unaware of what is available to them. And what a unique conversation to be having. So, Matt, you've given me your web address. Is there any other thing before we go to giving more contact details for you, if you want to share them? Is there anything else you want to tell us about that I didn't ask you? And are there any up and coming events you want to tell our audience about? Anything you would like to share? This is the time you just get to tell us whatever.
Sure. One thing I did want to add was about I used to work at a school that was all kids with special needs. So half of them were autistic, had other different disabilities. And I've actually had the opportunity to work with a lot of my former students. And it's so cool because they never go to experiences here. They always end up on different planets. They explain why they came here to help Earth during this time. And like, it's fascinating. And it's like, I see the world so much different. Even like, we're seeing through things through their eyes, and they all say the same thing. I came here to help. I came here to teach love. I came here to teach Earth this. So like, they all came to help during this time. And like, it just adds further validation to what you said about what you were already feeling intuitively with why
Yeah.
these people are here. So, and they're like more tapped into than like we're thinking we have to teach them, but like my partner worked with me, and when she learned Reiki, the kids that she was working with, they're nonverbal, but they would take her hands and put it on them on different parts of their body. They would move her hand around, like she didn't tell them, they didn't know what she did, but they were able to pick up that, hey, you know this now, like, and yeah,
Wow.
so cool.
That is so cool. That is incredible. That is the way of the future, right? And us being aware of it and recognizing it. And, just because they're children doesn't mean they don't know enough. In fact, children are so wise, right? Because they're still so close to the innocence of the soul and the awareness of the soul. Um, I was going to say and it's just slipped my mind, but I'm going to ask this question so it comes back. Um, Are you thinking, have you written a book? I didn't notice whether you've written a book yet. You've written a book.
I'm in the process of, so
Good.
it's on physical self-healing. Kind of like I get a lot of medical cases, so I've had people regrow body parts, move their bones back into place after getting hit by cars, like, and these are like normal people too. These aren't like yogis that go sit in a cave for 2 years. Like these are actual people. So I think part of like what I'm here to do is to share that, and that's like one of the first ones I'm sharing. So I
Awesome.
also it's gonna be interactive too because I have all the guided processes also like on my YouTube channel. Like a lady contacted me the other day. Her brain tumor went away in 3 weeks just going through the videos. Like I've never even met her, so
Wow.
like this stuff is powerful. And if you take nothing more away from today, know that your body's ability to heal itself is greater than anyone's permitted you to believe. And you are way more powerful than anyone's letting on. So,
Exactly. Exactly. It's all about the programming is why we think we can't do these things. And this is what we're here to do this time, to break out of the matrix, break out of that programmed thinking, because it's about the mind. And as long as the mind believes and thinks a certain thing, it's going to keep creating that reality. And we have to open to say, I'm not going to create that reality anymore. Wow. I really love that. I'm glad that you are writing a book, because that was one of the first questions I was guided to ask you, and I thought I'd leave it for the end. And even when I was about like moving on, they were like, "Oh, ask that question. It's important." I'm so transformed by our meeting, and I just am so transformed by our meeting. It's such a blessing to have met
Thank
you.
you.
Such an amazing energy, and I just love it. I feel your love, and I feel so much love in return because I just feel you're a brother of light. And I don't know, perhaps we have been in other worlds together. And well, we would have been. We would have been. Okay, because I notice everybody I connect with, everybody I've connected with, we have had some time together or the other to do some work together. And our agreement is to come back and do this. And I just love it. It's been such a transformational last, I don't know, 2 years, in terms of energy healing and coming out to the forefront and connecting with people. And when I meet people, I can think, wow, what amazing energy. Um, I can't remember the thing that I'm thinking that I thought I was going to ask you, but uh, who knows, maybe that is for another time. Anything else, Matt, before you go? Anything else you want to tell our people that I've forgotten?
Um, no, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, I do work remotely. I work in person. And honestly, I put out everything free because I feel everyone should have access to this. Usually, people see me when they get stuck. I do a lot of retreats and classes and workshops, kind of around the world. I just got back from Costa Rica, where I'm setting up stuff down there, and then also like I don't know, kind of all over the place. So.
Good, good. So I did see the retreats. So you're going overseas to do, I mean, to do retreats. So Costa Rica and is part of, like, I always think of it as part of America, right? Because it's like an American island. But do you move out of like that part of America and go to like Europe or, because as we were speaking earlier, I was thinking it'd be great if Matt comes to New Zealand.
That's the it's it's actually on my list of places to be. So, yeah,
Yeah,
down the road. Yeah.
good. And if you ever do that, you've got to let me know you're here
Well, of
because
course.
you've got to let me know you're here because that would be awesome. There's a few people that I know this week that are really going to be able to, I'm going to recommend you to because they've had some things happening and what you're going to teach them or what you have the ability to show them and teach them, they can shift and, maybe they do have need a session with you. But thank you very much for your time. And, I really, really appreciate you.
Likewise, I appreciate you and thank you so much. Like, I felt your energy as soon as you connected it. I'm like, all right, who's this one? Like,
Yeah,
you know how
yeah,
you have that like deeper knowing that goes past like anything like
yeah.
logical, and you're like,
Yeah,
huh.
I'm supposed to do that. I'm going to do that. It's making sense. And yeah, so thank you so much. And I'm just going to stay there. I'm just going to turn the recording off and we'll talk on the other side of the recording. Yes. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching. And hey, check out Matt's work. And what is it? Matt Schmidt HQ, no, QH, Matt Schmidt QH.com.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the description box. Nothing to worry about, even if I said it the wrong way. Um, yes, and I'll catch you next time here on Ananda Rose, and so looking forward to it. And would love to hear your thoughts when you get to watch this. What you think about Matt's work, and yeah, so do share your thoughts in the comments box. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Namaste. Bye.
Thank you, Ananda. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.